twisted halls of the past never stays buried for long, it simply evolves. And if history has taught Salem anything, it's that no DiMera move is ever made without a deeper, darker purpose. Now, as E.J. DiMera lies wounded and claiming memory loss, whispers of a dangerous connection begin to surface. A chilling comparison is gaining traction. Is E.J. repeating the sins of his brother, Andre DiMera? Longtime viewers of Days of Our Lives haven't forgotten the infamous scheme where Andre shot himself and framed John Black, twisting sympathy into leverage and nearly destroying lives in the process. That plot, bold and manipulative, was considered one of Andre's most devious acts. But now it seems E.J. may have taken a page straight out of Andre's playbook, and added his own cruel twist. A lesson in deception. Andre DiMera's influence. To understand what E.J. may be doing, we must first remember what Andre did. Years ago, Andre staged a violent incident where he shot himself and cunningly blamed John Black. The town erupted in shock. Friendships were broken. Alliances fell apart. Andre basked in the chaos he created, turning victimhood into power. It was a move of pure DiMera genius, and it worked. E.J. grew up in the shadow of men like Stefano and Andre. He studied their tactics, watched how they twisted public opinion, and saw firsthand how powerful playing the victim could be. And now, years later, it appears E.J. has finally decided to apply that same lesson. Because if this theory holds water, E.J. didn't just get shot. He pulled the trigger himself, just like Andre once did. E.J.'s twofold strategy, revenge and sympathy. Unlike Andre, whose focus was revenge and political destruction, E.J. seems to have two very personal goals behind this alleged self-shooting stunt. Goal 1, frame an enemy. It's no secret that E.J.'s list of enemies is long and ever-growing. From Rafe Hernandez, who planted a surveillance bug in E.J.'s mansion, to others who've questioned his authority, trust in E.J. is thin, and that makes the opportunity ripe for manipulation. If E.J. discovered the bug, and evidence suggests he did, he could have easily used it to create an audio illusion of an altercation, uttering, "What are you doing?" at just the right moment, then firing the shot. The audio, when discovered later, would conveniently sound like he was attacked. That's not just deception, that's calculated sabotage. E.J. could be setting up Rafe, or someone else entirely, to take the fall for an attempted murder that never really happened. And once again, like Andre, he'd become the victim, not the villain. Goal 2, win back his son. But perhaps more tragically, and more heartbreakingly, this may not just be about power. It may be about love. More specifically, the love of his son, Johnny. E.J. and Johnny's relationship has been fractured, strained by lies, distance, and betrayal. E.J. may believe that by casting himself as a victim, bloodied, broken, and fighting for his life, he could pull at Johnny's heartstrings. What better way to earn back a son's trust than by painting himself as someone targeted, someone suffering? This isn't just a plot to eliminate enemies, this is an emotional gambit to reunite with family. In E.J.'s twisted logic, a gunshot wound might hurt less than the cold distance of a son who no longer looks up to him. Selective amnesia, symptom or strategy? E.J.'s current condition raises more questions than answers. His memory loss is peculiar. He remembers the details that suit his narrative, people like Belle Black and Kristen DiMera, but conveniently forgets Rafe, the man who was secretly listening to everything that happened inside the DiMera mansion. This isn't a concussion. This is curation. He remembers what he needs to. He forgets what he doesn't want to answer for. And in the world of Salem, selective amnesia is often just another form of acting. The toast that spoke volumes on the night before the shooting, E.J. raised his glass to Stefano's portrait and declared, "I beat everyone." At the time, it sounded like arrogance. But now, it's a clue. A quiet moment of victory before the storm, before he enacted a scheme so dangerous that even he might not survive it. E.J. knew what he was doing. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to control every piece on the board, including himself. The Rolf safety net and what DiMera plan would be complete without a mad scientist on standby? With Dr. Rolf always lurking in the shadows, EJ likely felt safe taking such an extreme risk. If things went sideways, if the bullet hit harder than planned, or if the coma lasted longer than expected, Rolf could fix it. He's done it before. He brought EJ back from the dead once. Why not help him cheat death again? This wasn't just a plan. It was a gamble with a fallback. Johnny's pain, EJ's gain. In the aftermath of the shooting, as Salem reels and suspects each other, Johnny has been seen near the hospital, his face torn between guilt, fear, and confusion. He doesn't know what to believe. His father's condition is dire. The man he resented may now be the man he mourns. And that's exactly what EJ wants. He wants his son's forgiveness. He wants his son's love. And if earning it means shooting himself and playing the role of tragic hero, then so be it. EJ doesn't see it as manipulation. He sees it as restoration. Twisted, yes, but in his mind, it's the only way. Final thoughts. A DiMera to the core. Whether this was a masterstroke of strategy or a tragic misfire remains to be seen. But one thing is becoming clearer by the day, EJ is walking the same path Andre once did, only with even more personal stakes. He's not just seeking revenge. He's craving redemption. But in true DiMera fashion, even redemption must be orchestrated, manipulated, and maybe even faked. Did EJ DiMera shoot himself? If he did, it was a lesson learned from Andre, and a desperate bid for control, power, and love. In Salem, the DiMeras don't just play the game. They rewrite the rules. And this may be EJ's most dangerous rewrite yet. Days of Our Lives, Part 2, Johnny's Gratitude and a Race Against Memory. An expanded and dramatized narrative for senior fans of Salem's most tangled family tales. In the calm yet charged atmosphere of the Horton house, Johnny found himself doing something he hadn't done in a while, opening his heart. Chad was there, seated by the window with an air of quiet worry still lingering from the events of the past few days. When Johnny walked in, his presence carried a weight heavier than just footsteps on wooden floors. It was the weight of unresolved emotions, family wounds, and long-standing questions that seemed to multiply the closer one got to the DiMera name. Johnny had made a decision that surprised even him. He had visited his father, EJ, in the hospital. The very idea of seeing EJ again had once filled him with hesitation, anger, and a kind of bitterness that only children of broken homes can truly understand. But he went. And the reason he went? Chad. Chad had done what many wouldn't dare. He spoke to Johnny not with orders or guilt but with clarity and understanding. He planted the seed of reconciliation. And now, Johnny stood before him, full of gratitude. "I'm glad I went," he told Chad, voice tinged with humility. "I talked to Mom, too. And, while I still can't wrap my head around her choices, I get her now, a little more than I did yesterday. I'm proud of her. I want to be the son she can lean on." There was a flicker of something unspoken between them. The kind of moment that passes silently between men who've endured much and still carry the burdens of others. But just as quickly as that connection formed, a shadow crept back into Johnny's eyes. "But Dad, I don't know what to make of him anymore." Before the conversation could delve deeper, Chad's phone rang. Belle. Her voice was urgent but relieved. "EJ's awake." Johnny's breath caught. Chad, ever the steady hand, relayed the news without missing a beat. "Your father's awake. He's conscious." He offered to drive Johnny to the hospital, knowing this was a moment of reckoning. But something in Johnny resisted. A memory, perhaps the image of a gun or the echo of betrayal, flashed through his mind. He declined Chad's offer. The pain was too raw, the moment too fragile. He needed time to process. Chad understood. With years of emotional scars of his own, he didn't push. Instead, He grabbed his coat and headed out alone, his mind racing. At the hospital, Belle stood beside EJ's bed, mid-conversation. Chad rushed in just in time to interrupt a question that, from the look on EJ's face, could have changed everything. A question about love. EJ, looking pale and haunted, glanced at Chad. "I owe you," he murmured. "For saving my life." Chad waved it off. "Don't thank me yet. That article I published? It may have led to the shooting." But EJ was distracted. His mind was attempting to thread together the frayed and disjointed images of that harrowing night. "I remember. Belle was there, but she left." His brow furrowed. The effort to remember clearly was etched in every line of his face. Then something clicked. Chanel. Chad leaned in. "Chanel? She said goodbye, she left. What about Kristen?" Chad pressed. EJ's voice dropped lower. "She went home after." Chad nodded, disappointed. "We checked. It was a dead end." There was a long pause. Two men in a hospital room, one trying to remember, the other trying to protect. "We'll find who did it," Chad said, his voice steel. "You have my word." But even as those words filled the room, the question remained, who fired the shot? Who wanted EJ DiMera dead, or at least silenced? And perhaps more importantly, what memories was EJ still hiding, even from himself?